The humanitarian figures are an appalling indictment on the parties to the conflict. 25 million people in need of aid, over 8 million displaced and almost 2 million now living as refugees. And growing concern that an attack on El-Fasher in North Darfur will raise the spectre of a new front in the deadly conflict.
Already, clashes between the RSF and SAF-aligned members of the Joint Protection Forces have erupted in Milit, a strategic town to the north of El-Fasher. Fighting in El-Fasher could unleash bloody intercommunal strife throughout Darfur. It could also further impede the delivery of humanitarian assistance in an area already on the brink of famine. Beyond Darfur, Greater Khartoum continues to be the epicenter of fighting between the SAF and the RSF. Galvanized by recent gains, the SAF has intensified aerial raids in Khartoum, the Kordofan regions, and parts of Darfur.
She indicated the UN stood ready to redouble efforts with multilateral partners, including the African Union, IGAD, the League of Arab States, and key member states with influence over the parties. But in the absence of a political track, risk is only growing for civilians on the ground.
On April 13, following weeks of rising tensions and airstrikes, and almost 1 year to the day, April 15, 2023, RSF-affiliated militias attacked and burned villages west of El-Fasher. Since then, there have been continuing reports of clashes in the eastern and northern parts of the city, resulting in more than 36,000 people displaced. Médecins Sans Frontières reports that more than 100 trauma patients arrived in their facility in El-Fasher in recent days. The total number of civilian casualties is likely to be much higher. The violence poses an extreme and immediate danger to the 800,000 civilians who reside in El-Fasher, and it risks triggering further violence in other parts of Darfur, where more than 9 million people are in dire need of humanitarian assistance.
A view echoed by the African Union that lamented the influence of external factors on the conflict.
The huge investments of the international community over the years to bring peace to Darfur have been hugely set back, as Darfur is once again witnessing ethnic cleansing and inter-ethnic conflicts, as we have just been reminded by USG DiCarlo. The efforts to mediate the crisis to date have not been successful. There have been several initiatives, including the Jeddah process, the neighboring countries initiative, the Egyptian initiative, and the IGAD initiative. These efforts need effective coordination to achieve the goal of bringing peace to Sudan.
Wasunu told the Council that their appeals to the parties to respect their obligations under international humanitarian law are often ignored, as she demanded that they immediately stop their violence around El-Fasher and other parts of the country.
The people of Sudan cannot wait another month, another week, or even another day. The suffering must stop. As outlined, I end with 3 things that we need now. 1, scaled up action by the parties to protect civilians and facilitate humanitarian access. 2, while very generously accepting the funds that were announced in Paris, we're asking for the quick disbursement of funds for the humanitarian response. And 3, more international engagement on Sudan to silence the guns. From our end, we will continue to do everything we can. Later this month, I traveled to Sudan together with 9 emergency directors from other United Nations agencies and NGOs to work with our teams to support the scale-up of the response. But we cannot do this alone. We need your help.
The UN says 18 million people are facing acute hunger, a number that is only set to surge as the lean season fast approaches, in a war that has already taken the country back several decades. Shervin Bryceby's SABC News, New York.